let's get this going. Hello everybody, this is DKG's Avos, and as you can tell by my hair, I've just woken up. But as I rolled over, I got a new Twitter update on my phone, and I see this thing from StarCraft, and it says we'll be testing a number of balance changes for a potential off-season patch post-BlizzCon. Click to learn more, and then I just tab over here, and here we see a new post from David Kim himself, and it says we've been considering putting together an off-season patch that could follow the WCS finals at BlizzCon in hopes of increasing diversity in StarCraft 2. Before we make any big decisions, we'd like to play out some balanced test maps with you to see how some Stark changes play out. As always, this isn't final, this is testing. So I'm going to go through this and read through everything that they've got. This is on the forums. Like I said, you can see this on their Twitter. So if you don't want to listen to my voice, just go ahead and click over. I'll send the links down below, but don't worry about it. Here's what's going on. Apparently they're going to try and bring in mech ground and air attack upgrade combined again. They've been looking at this for a long time now, and it feels like a solid step in the right direction. We can talk about that a little bit later. We'll go through all the Terran changes first. Widowmine splash radius decreased from 1.75 to 1.1. We'd like to push out the Widowmine a little bit and pump up the siege tanks so that the bio play becomes a little bit more interesting. Ultimately, we believe a mix of Widowmines and siege tanks with your bio army will be a lot more fun to watch than just Widowmines with bio alone. Siege tank attack period decreased from 3 to 2.7. Bioplay may be more interesting with the Widowmine change and this buff. Not only that, we believe Terran mech armies can be a lot more viable because faster attack speed naturally means siege tanks will be better against their hard counters. Alright, so looking through all the Terran stuff. Mech ground and air attacks combined, they've tried this before. I don't think that this is going to work this time. They tried it in the beta for Heart of the Swarm, and basically every time that they've tried to balance change StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm, they've tried to add this one in, and every time it's been vetoed, because it becomes determined that it's OP. So do I really think this one's going to come through? Maybe not. Now, Widowmine splash damage radius decreased from 1.75 to 1.1. Do I like this as a Zerg player? Yes. Do I think that this decreases the effectiveness of Widowmine harass in the mineral line? Yes. So what this is going to do is affect the TVP small window of time where Widowmines are actually viable. And I really think that that's not the way to go, because Widowmines still don't do friendly splash damage against other Widowmines, and I'm vehemently against Widowmines not doing splash damage against other Widowmines because they clump together. And if I can build 50 Widowmines and put them all in the same spot and they don't do damage against one another, even when half of them are unburrowed. Anyway, siege tank attack period decreased from 3 to 2.7. I don't think that's going to be a huge difference. I'm okay with that. That's a good one. Scrolling down to the Protoss section. Oracle cost decreased from 150-150 to 150-100. Protoss feels like it's been playing too defensively outside of Warp Prism Harass. We're seeing Oracles only being used in the early game and not much during any other stage of the game. We hope by reducing the gas cost of the Oracle, they'll be used far more throughout the rest of the game. Dark Templar movement speed increased from 2.813 to 3.375. We believe the Dark Templar could be more interesting to watch if it's not just a matter of the opponent being prepared or not. Even when their opponents are prepared, we believe that increasing Dark Templar's movement speed, there could be more interesting interactions, such as dodging out of detection range more often. So, I don't really mind this so much. Oracles in the early game, if you're not ready for them, can be a huge problem, but as long as you're scouting out, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem for you. But this also does reduce, like, if Protoss goes in Stargate Tech, then I don't see a huge problem with it, because this is their only way of detection if they decide to go really heavily into Stargate Tech. I'm okay with that. Not going to be a huge difference, and I don't know how much they're going to be used in the late game, because as things kind of transition, I'm not positive. We'll see how it goes. Dark Templar movement speed increased. I'm a little wary of this. I'm a little wary, but it will encourage our Zerg players to focus a little bit more on Overlord speed, so they'll get that a little bit earlier. And, I mean, with the Overseer buff, it shouldn't be a huge deal, at least not against, you know, Zerg players. And You know what this does? This gives Protoss kind of a hope. Because if you're looking at Protoss in major competitions, they're not winning a whole lot. So I do like seeing Protoss buffed. I'm just going to go out there and say it. And maybe I won't go up against such crazy weird stuff that I'm going against in the ZVP meta. And finally, for our Zerg players, Roach Speed upgrade also increases the burrowed Roach movement speed from 1.41 to 2.25. We just don't see Tunneling Claws coming into play much. There's some really cool micro potential with burrowing moving roaches. We'd like to see how this goes in the test map. Again, well, no, we'll get to that part later. Roach Speed upgrade, I'm okay with that. I don't see that it's going to encourage many Zerg players to get Tunneling Claws any more often. Burrowed roaches just don't do as much against Terran because they usually put up missile turrets a lot and they've got scanned. And so if they're paying attention to the map, it's just not that effective. And then a scan and everything's just dead. And then against Protoss, I don't see this being a huge deal just because when you're up against Protoss players, they usually build a lot of observers in the higher leagues. So I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. So I don't see that being a problem. The only thing that I really think it might change is the ZVZ meta. Because if you're starting to go with all sorts of Roach all-ins, and you get to lair tech, there you go, maybe. Maybe we'll see it. So it's kind of interesting to see how that works, because the movement speed of the Roach and then the Tunneling Claws will be totally different. And so you might see Tunneling Claws getting upgraded eventually, but Roach Speed is usually first. So anyway, at the end of this, again, none of these are final adjustments, and we're considering others. We're probably going to publish a balanced test map soon, so please give us your feedback as soon as possible. As always, thank you very much. Well, Blizzard, I've given my feedback on everything. I think some of them feel pretty good. I still think that Widow Mines should probably do splash damage against other Widow Mines, but let me know how you guys feel about this in the comments section below. I'll be uploading this in as soon as possible. So, thank you guys for watching. This has been DKG's Avos, and I'm